Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Swiss. Went 1-2 last night on the site, which sucks. Got to post a losing night up. I did bet the Lakers on the live show, but I forgot to post it on the website. I put it in the Discord, but I forgot to post it on the website, and only the bets I post on the website get counted, so I can't count that one. That would have put me closer to even. But whatever, shake it off. I mean, it's not like my losses were bad. The Heat could have won that game. Philly was probably the right side, but came down to the wire. There was a couple non-calls there at the end. The Heat could have easily won or at least covered the plus 3.5. And then the Jazz, that game essentially landed on 7. McDaniels just launched up a meaningless 3 at the buzzer to win by 10. It was wild. I tweeted it out. If you had Utah plus 7.5, my thoughts and prayers go out to you, for real. That's brutal. I had Utah plus 6.5, so I didn't care. I had already lost the bet. But if you got in early and got 7.5, you got absolutely robbed. That's crazy. But yeah, we're looking at NBA Tuesday. We got 5 games on the board. Not the greatest slate of NBA games here, but let's take a look.
Welcome to the Swiss. The Swiss. Hey, get the Swiss.
First up, we got Charlotte on the road in Orlando. Magic are laying 13 or 13.5 points at home here, depending on your sports book. Total sitting at 204 or 203.5, I'm seeing now, actually. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 9-point Orlando win. Final score 110-101 Magic. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start on the Charlotte side. Pretty much the same pieces that have been out for Charlotte. Still no LaMelo Ball, Seth Curry still out, Cody Martin still out, McGowan still out, and Mark Williams still out. Most of those pieces have been out for a period of time now. On the Orlando side, we got nobody on the injury report for the Magic at this time. So before we get into this one, we need to take note that Charlotte is coming into this game rested. 2 days rest for the Hornets. That being said, on the season, the Charlotte Hornets are just 1-11 straight up with 2 days rest. And with 2 or 3 days rest, check this out, 4-10 against the spread, which is dead last in the NBA. So the Hornets have been the worst team in the league when rested. Betting trends for Charlotte, I mean, 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 overall, 10-21 against the spread in their last 31 on the road. Charlotte's been terrible on the road this year. On the Orlando side, trends look great. 17-6 against the spread in their last 23, 9-2 against the spread in their last 11 at home, 23-5 against the spread as home favorites. Those are some nice looking trends there for Orlando. This particular head-to-head matchup has been all Magic. Hornets are just 2-7 against the spread in their last 9 meetings against Orlando, 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 trips to Orlando. Both of these teams have been trending towards unders heavily. Charlotte 3-13 to the under in their last 16, 2-9 to the under in their last 11 on the road. Orlando 2-10 to the under in their last 12 overall, 1-5 to the under in their last 6 at home. And this particular head-to-head matchup, all unders. 1-6 to the under in the last 7 meetings, 1-3 to the under in their last 4 in Orlando. So all unders here. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with some net efficiency numbers. Obviously, Orlando's been much better than the Hornets have. In the last 10 games in overall efficiency, we're looking at 4th to 26th. Now, strength of schedule, 29th to 30th. So both of these teams are overvalued right now because both of them played really weak schedules, but obviously Orlando's been significantly better. Also, before we move on to the next graphic, take a look at the pace numbers here. Charlotte 25th in the last 10 games, Orlando 28th in the last 10 games. Both of these teams running extremely slow paces right now. That's not good news for the Hornets. On the season, Charlotte's just 4-7 against the spread against the bottom 5 teams in pace, 7-15 against the spread against the bottom 10 teams in pace. So Charlotte has really struggled in these games against slow-paced teams. Meanwhile, Orlando is 8-5 against the spread against the bottom 5 in pace, 16-10 against the spread in the bottom 10 in pace. So Magic have played really well in these slower-paced games. The fact that this game is going to be played at a snail's pace, huge advantage for Orlando. Let's take a look at the matchup for Charlotte's offense, and huge edge for the Magic on this side of the court. I mean, EFG in the last 10, 3rd to 26th. They got the rebounding edge. They got the turnover edge. The only good news for Charlotte is they've really struggled to get to the foul line, just 25th in the last 10. Orlando has been fouling a lot, so maybe the Hornets are able to get to the foul line more than usual, but as a whole, this is a tough matchup. And check this out. I mentioned that the Orlando defense has been elite as far as forcing turnovers and rebounding. Charlotte on the season, 5-4 against the spread against top 5 defenses and forcing turnovers. So it's not the turnovers that worry me. Look at the rebounding. Hornets are just 3-12 against the spread against top 5 teams in defensive rebounding. So keep Charlotte off the offensive glass, and you're most likely going to win and cover. Shot zones for the Hornets offense, I mean, I guess you can look at the above the break 3. They are 7th in frequency, so Charlotte is taking a lot of those shots. They're just 29th in efficiency, though, so they're not hitting them. Orlando's defense allows a lot of attempts, 21st in frequency, 7th in efficiency. I mean, I guess there's an angle there. The Hornets should have looks from 3, but are they going to fall or not? That's a different question. Now, on the other side of the court, we got Orlando's offense, and this is where the handicap gets interesting here. So at first glance, if you look at numbers from the last 10 games, looks like the Magic might have the edge here. EFG 6th to 14th, free throw rate 1st to 11th, turnovers 11th to 28. Well, actually, turnovers go in favor of Charlotte. So Hornets should be able to create some turnovers. But look what happens if we shrink the sample size here and look at the numbers from the last 5 games instead. All of a sudden, it starts to look like Charlotte's defense has the advantage in this game, and they should definitely be able to create turnovers here. And check this out. We all know Orlando has the best record against the spread in the NBA this year. Everyone knows that. They've been the most profitable team to bet on. But actually, not against teams that force turnovers. Charlotte in the last 5 games, 3rd in forced turnover rate. Orlando on the season against top 5 teams in forced turnover rate, 1-5 against the spread. So Orlando struggles to protect the basketball. When they play teams that can exploit that, they've actually struggled. Now, Charlotte is not in the top 5 of forced turnover rate on the season, but in the last 10 games they are. So there's a really nice angle. If you're looking to bet Charlotte there, if you're looking to take the points, it's a really nice angle for the Hornets. Shot zones for Orlando's offense. Obviously, we look right at the basket here. That's what the Magic do. They attack the rim. In the last 10 games, 2nd in frequency, 10th in efficiency. They're very good down there. And in the last 10 games, Charlotte, 17th in frequency, 22nd in efficiency. So that looks like a solid matchup for the Magic. That being said, look what happens when you switch it over to the last 5 games. It doesn't look nearly as good. First of all, Orlando's offensive efficiency at the rim drops to 28th. So all of a sudden, they're struggling to convert shots down there. Charlotte's defense, 16th in frequency, 3rd in efficiency. So Charlotte out of nowhere is protecting the rim. So again, if you shrink the sample size, it starts to look like a really good matchup for the Hornets defense. As far as betting this game, I mean, look, no question, Orlando's significantly better. They're at home, laying points where they've been excellent all year. I don't think I can fade that. But we are talking 13.5 points, and there are a couple angles here for Charlotte, specifically on the defensive side, that I like. So am I going to pull the trigger on plus 13.5? Probably not, but I did bet the under. I got in at 204. I think it dropped to 203.5 already. So I'm in on the under. I'm considering jumping in on Charlotte plus 13.5, but I'll definitely be on the under next game. Houston on the road in Washington here. Looks like the Wizards are catching 8.5. It was just at 8. Looks like it's up to 8.5 now. Total sitting at 228.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 12-point Rockets win. 12. Final score 120-108 Houston. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Houston. Same 2 pieces out for the Rockets that have been out. Şengün is still out, and Cam Whitmore still out for the Rockets as well. On the Washington side, we got a bunch of names here. So Tyus Jones is out. Marvin Bagley is out. Avdija is out. Kyle Kuzma is on the report. He's listed as questionable. Landry Shamet is out as well for the Wizards. So Washington definitely a little banged up here. Before we get into this one, we need to take note that Houston is definitely well rested here. Rockets are coming into this one on 2 days rest. On the season, they're just 6-4 straight up on 2 days rest. So, I mean, I guess that's good. On 2 or 3 days rest this season, they're 6-6 against the spread. So, I mean, the Rockets are rested, but they haven't really turned that into winning bets, so really not much to take away there. Betting trends on the Houston side look excellent here. Rockets 8-1 against the spread in their last 9, 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 on the road, 3-3 against the spread in their last 6 as road favorites. On the Washington side, not so good. 2-7 against the spread in their last 9, 4-11 against the spread in their last 15 at home, 9-18 against the spread as home dogs. This particular head-to-head matchup, the Rockets are 4-1 against the number in their last 5 meetings against the Wizards, but they're just 2-4 against the number in their last 6 trips to DC. So they've been better at home against the Wizards. Rockets 4-2 to the over in their last 6 games overall, 1-5 to the under in their last 6 on the road, though. So the Rockets have been going over at home, not so much on the road. Wizards 10-5 to the over in their last 15, but again, at home the trend shifts. 3-10 to the under in their last 13 at home. And another conflicting one in this particular head-to-head matchup, 1-4 to the under in their last 5 meetings, but 4-2-1 to the over in their last 7 meetings in DC. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with some net efficiency numbers. Houston, significantly better than the Wizards. 5th to 29th in overall efficiency in the last 10 games. Now, the Wizards have played a slightly stronger schedule, 19th to 24th, but not much at all. I mean, the Rockets are actually playing really good basketball right now. Look at the pace numbers here. In the last 10 games, 2nd and 3rd. So both these teams have been running at a seriously fast pace. That actually might benefit the Wizards a little bit. On the season, Washington 6-3-1 against the spread against the top 5 teams in pace. Let's take a look at the matchup for the Rockets offense, and you can see both units struggling with efficiency on this side. EFG numbers look pretty bad for both of them in the last 10 games. Rockets do have the nice advantage in offensive rebounding and turnovers, though, so Houston should definitely get the maximum number of possessions here. Obviously, we have to take a look at the transition numbers. We're talking about two of the fastest paced teams in the NBA right now. Houston loves to run the fast break, 7th in frequency. Wizards are pretty terrible defending the fast break, 16th in frequency, but 30th. Dead last in defensive efficiency against the fast break. On the year, they're 26th in points per game allowed in transition. So the Rockets should definitely score some points in transition here. Shot zones for the Rockets offense. Obviously, we look right at the rim here. In the last 10 games, they're 4th in shot frequency at the rim, 23rd in efficiency. So they haven't really been very efficient shooting the ball down there. They are taking a lot of them. That's beautiful in this matchup because the Wizards have been terrible protecting the basket all season, not just recently. In the last 10 games, they're 28th in frequency, 24th in efficiency. So a really nice matchup for the Rockets offense there. And Houston's done well in these types of matchups. On the season, the Rockets are 8-4 against the spread against bottom 5 defenses and rim frequency, meaning when they see defenses that let you get inside and attempt shots at the rim, the Rockets are covering 8-4. So that's a nice angle for the Rockets offense. That being said, Houston also takes a lot of above the break threes. That's their 2nd most frequent shot zone. That's the strength of the Wizards defense. That's like the one thing the Wizards can do defensively is defend the 3-point shot. In the last 10 games, they're 2nd in frequency, 13th in efficiency against that shot. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows for the Rockets offense here. Now, we did just see these two teams play the other night. And Houston was very efficient shooting the ball from outside, 42.9% from 3 in that game. That was at home in Houston. But we have to take into account that Washington didn't even have a center for that game. I mean, I think Kyle Kuzma started at the 5 in that one. So obviously they had to overcommit to help in the paint, leaving guys for wide open shots. With Rashawn Holmes back from injury, active in this one, they should be able to get somewhat back to normal, putting pressure on the perimeter. So overall, I think it's a favorable matchup for the Rockets offense. They should be able to score here against a bad Wizards defense. Now on the other side, we got the Washington Wizards offense, and edge goes heavily to the Houston defense here. EFG 7-20, offensive rebounding 5th to 30th. Wizards should get 0 offensive rebounds in this game. Rockets should also be able to force some turnovers. The only good news for the Wizards here is usually they struggle to get to the free throw line, but the Rockets foul at a really high rate, so maybe Washington's able to get to the free throw line, but don't have much hope for the Washington offense here. Now, when you're handicapping a Wizards game, you got to look at the numbers in transition, and especially in this one when we're going to see such a fast-paced game. Wizards run a great fast break, and they run it a lot. 3rd in frequency, 8th in efficiency. That is not great news against a Rockets defense that's been excellent defending the fast break all season. They're 5th in frequency, 4th in efficiency. On the season, they're 5th in the NBA in points per game allowed in transition. So a real nice angle for the Rockets defense there. When these two teams just met last Thursday, Washington was held to just 10 fast break points. They average over 26 fast break points per game on the season, 3rd in the NBA. Rockets held them to just 10 points in transition in that game. Shot zones for the Wizards offense. We can pull up the numbers in the interior. That's where the Wizards like to frequent. 7th in frequency at the rim, 11th in frequency from the short mid-range. Now, the Rockets have great numbers protecting the rim in the last 10, 15th in frequency, 5th in efficiency, 15th against that short mid-range. But look what happens when I switch it to the last 5, and we start to get a look of what this Rockets defense looks like without Şengün. In the last 5 games at the rim, Houston, 14th in frequency, 22nd in efficiency. So actually, maybe the Wizards are able to score at the basket in this one because the Rockets without Şengün have not been protecting the rim the same. Overall, though, there's just not enough here to get me onto Washington to take the points. So I actually lean Houston here, but there's just no way at this price. So if I was to bet this game, I haven't bet it, but if I was to bet this game, I would look at the over at 229.5 or the Houston team total over at 117.5. So that's the way I would look. I expect a high scoring game. I'd look something along the lines of an over. Next game, New Orleans on the road in Brooklyn. It looks like the Nets are catching 8 points now, which means this line is on the move because I got in at Pelly's -7. Total sitting at 216.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 4-point New Orleans win. Final score 112-108 Pellies. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with New Orleans. Herb Jones is on the injury report, but he's listed as probable, so he most likely plays. Dyson Daniels still out for the Pellies. On the Brooklyn side, just Finney-Smith. Dorian Finney-Smith on the report. He's listed as questionable. Other than that, Nets should be good to go. Before we get into this one, we need to point out that this is a great spot for New Orleans. First of all, you got the Pellies coming into this game on 2 days rest. They've been good when rested this year. They're 6-4 straight up on 2 days rest. But with 2 or 3 days rest, they're 9-4 against the number. So they've been one of the better rested teams in the NBA. And the Nets should seriously file a grievance with the NBA for this schedule. So the Nets are just coming home from an 11-day, 6-game road trip. 6 road games in 11 days. It's their 3rd game in 4 days. They flew home to Brooklyn to play this one, and then they immediately go back on the road to play the Bucks on Thursday night and play another 4 road games. So you got 1 home game sandwiched in the middle of 10 road games. Just wow. Terrible spot for the Nets, great spot for the Pelicans. Betting trends for New Orleans look solid. Pellies are 6-1 against the number in their last 7, 4-1 against the number in their last 5 on the road, 5-1 against the number in their last 6 as road favorites. So nice looking trends there for the Pellies. On the Brooklyn side, just 1-5 against the spread in their last 6, 4-1-1 against the spread in their last 6 at home though. So the Nets have been covering at home. They're just 5-9-3 against the spread in their last 17 as home dogs though. This particular head-to-head matchup, Brooklyn has given the Pellies problems. New Orleans just 3-8 against the number in their last 11 meetings against the Nets, 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 trips to Brooklyn. Pelicans have also been trending heavily towards unders, 2-9 to the under in their last 11, 2-10 to the under in their last 12 on the road. Brooklyn, however, has been all overs, 7-1 to the over in their last 8, 4-1 to the over in their last 5 at home. This particular head-to-head matchup, 1-3 to the under in their last 4, 5-1 to the over, though, in their last 6 at Brooklyn. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with some net efficiency numbers here. As you can see, New Orleans has been significantly better than the Nets. New Orleans is playing well right now. In the last 10 games, the Pelicans are 2nd in overall efficiency. The Nets are 15th. And look at strength of schedule, 12th to 27th. So the Pelicans have been significantly better than Brooklyn against a significantly stronger schedule. The matchup for the Pelicans offense is looking pretty favorable here. You can see in the last 10 games, EFG 4th to 17th. Should be able to get trips to the free throw line. They even have the rebounding advantage because the Nets just can't keep anybody off the offensive glass. And keep in mind, these are numbers from the last 10 games. They're going to be skewed towards Brooklyn because the Nets have played such a much easier schedule. The one thing I will say, though, turnovers. Brooklyn 2nd in forced turnover rate in the last 10. New Orleans 15th in turnover rate. So it's not like protecting the ball has been a huge issue for the Pelicans, but maybe an angle for the Nets there. Shot zones for the Pellies offense. This is always a tough one because they're pretty balanced. They can score from anywhere, but we can look at the interior. They do frequent the interior more. In the last 10 games, they're 12th in frequency at the basket, 10th in frequency from the short mid-range. Nets defense just fallen off as far as protecting the rim. That was the strength of Brooklyn's defense for most of this season. In the last 10 games, dead last in frequency. So nobody is allowing more shot attempts at the basket than the Nets in the last 10 games. Just 20th in efficiency. So this Nets team just getting cooked at the rim recently. So that's a favorable one for New Orleans. Brooklyn does have really nice defensive numbers against that 8 to 12 footer though. When we flip it over to the other side and look at the matchup for Brooklyn's offense, you can see these numbers are actually pretty close in the last 10 games, slight edge to the Pellies defense. That being said, again, these numbers from the last 10 games, these numbers are going to be heavily skewed towards Brooklyn. They played a much easier schedule. What stands out to me here is the free throw rate. This Brooklyn offense has been very reliant on getting to the line recently. They're 6th in the last 10 games. Might not be there in this one. New Orleans hasn't been fouling anybody. In the last 10 games, they're 3rd defensively in that category. Another angle I like for the Pellies here, this Brooklyn offense does not run the fast break. On the season, just 19th in frequency, 26th in efficiency. The reason I like that is because that's been a weak spot for New Orleans defensively. So a team that doesn't run the fast break is exactly what New Orleans wants to see. Shot zones for the Nets offense, they've actually been attacking the rim a lot recently. They're 3rd in shot frequency down there in the last 10. Pelicans are cool with that. I mean, they've been great protecting the basket, 12th in frequency, 9th in efficiency, and that's against a stronger schedule, so not worried about that. I will say maybe the three-point shot's going to be there for Brooklyn. They've been taking a lot of them. Pelicans allow a lot of attempts. They're 30th, dead last in attempts in frequency, but they're 4th in efficiency, so The Nets are going to shoot a lot of threes in this one. Whether or not they fall, it's a different question. As far as betting this game, you already know I'm on the Pelicans. I said it earlier. I got in at -7, so I'm already holding 1 point of CLV. I wonder if this line keeps moving. I think it's just a prime spot for a Pelicans blowout, so I like the Pelicans to win by double digits here. Next game. Dallas on the road in San Antonio. This line... All right, I see 9s, I see 8.5s, and I see 8s. So this line kind of all over the place here. Total sitting at 231.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 2-point Dallas win. Final score 116-114 Mavs. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Dallas. Luka Doncic on the report, but he's listed as probable, so he most likely plays. Same goes for Dante Exum. He's also listed as probable. Josh Green has been ruled out for this one. On the Spurs side, we got nobody on the injury report for San Antonio right now. Betting trends on the Dallas side look great. Mavs have now covered 6 in a row, 6-0 against the spread in their last 6, 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 on the road, 14-3 against the spread as road favorites. That is impressive. On the Spurs side, we have some nice looking trends also, though. 10-5 against the spread in their last 15, 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 at home, but just 11-15-1 against the spread as home dogs this year. This particular head-to-head matchup has been all Dallas. The Mavs own the Spurs. Dallas is 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 meetings against San Antonio, 11-3 against the spread in their last 14 trips to San Antonio. So they've had no problem going on the road out here. Trends for the total: Mavs are 1-3 to the under in their last 4, but they're 5-1 to the over in their last 6 on the road. On the Spurs side, it's been pretty much all unders. 1-3 to the under in their last 4, 2-10 to the under in their last 12 at home. But check this out. These two teams, when they meet, it's almost always an over. 8-1 to the over in their last 9 meetings. 5-0-1 to the over in their last 6 meetings in Dallas, or in San Antonio, I'm sorry. So let's match these two teams up on the court, and we'll start with some net efficiency numbers here. Dallas has obviously been better than San Antonio, 9th to 18th in overall efficiency. That being said, let's give some credit to the Spurs. They're 18th in net efficiency in their last 10, but they're 3rd in strength of schedule. So the Spurs might definitely be undervalued right now. It's something to keep in mind moving forward. Doesn't really apply in this game, though, because Dallas is 5th in strength of schedule, so they may also be undervalued. Dallas offense versus San Antonio defense. I mean, edge goes to the Dallas offense here, 8th to 16th in offensive rebounding. Turnover edge goes to Dallas. I will say they might not be able to get to the free throw line like they're used to. In the last 10 games, Mavs are 9th in free throw rate, so they've been pretty reliant on getting to the line. San Antonio defensively is 5th, so that's a positive look for San Antonio. That being said, on the season, the Mavs are 6-4 against the spread against top 5 defenses in free throw rate. So we've seen them in matchups against defenses that don't foul, and they're still hitting at 60%. Fast break should be there for the Mavs in this one. 10th in frequency, 10th in efficiency. They're 9th in the NBA in points per game in transition. Against the Spurs defense, that's 10th in frequency, but 20th in efficiency. They are 23rd in the NBA in points per game allowed in transition. Shot zones for the Dallas offense, and check this out. We're seeing a little bit of a shift here as far as the Mavs offense. As we know, Dallas has been very three-point reliant this year, very reliant on jump shooters. On the season, they're 6th in above the break frequency, 1st in corner 3 frequency. But in the last 10 games, drops to 8th and 16th from those two zones. And in the last 5 games, 19th and 17th. So it looks like Dallas offense is slowly moving away from the three-point shot, and they're actually attacking the rim more. Kind of the exact same thing we're seeing from the Celtics. So maybe that's part of the plan. Maybe they don't want to get anybody hurt. They're not attacking the rim much in the first half of the season. Then after the All-Star break, they start attacking the basket more. That's what the numbers are showing. And that's actually great news for the Mavs in this matchup, because the Spurs have been locking three-point shooters down. In the last 10 games, 8th and 10th in frequency and efficiency against the above the break 3, 1st against the corner 3. So the Spurs have one of the hottest three-point defenses in the NBA, but the Mavs offense, like I said, all of a sudden they're attacking the rim. In the last 5 games, 16th in paint frequency, 9th in rim frequency, and they've been very efficient scoring down there. 5th and 6th in efficiency from those two zones. That's been the weakness of San Antonio's defense this whole season. In the last 5 games, 13th and 20th in the paint, 24th and 19th at the rim. So this new look Dallas offense, actually a tough matchup for the Spurs defense. On the other side, we got San Antonio's offense, and edge actually goes to the Spurs here. EFG 9th to 20th. I mean, Dallas defensively, I don't know what happened. As good as the offense has been, defense has just fallen off. Spurs should get to the free throw line a little bit. Even turnovers. The Spurs have really struggled to protect the basketball, but Dallas doesn't force any turnovers. So even that one, not even a concern for San Antonio. Fast break should be there for the Spurs as well. 8th in frequency, 15th in efficiency, 8th in the NBA in points per game in transition. Dallas defensively not great against the fast break. So another angle that's positive for the Spurs offense. As far as betting this game, I really don't know what to do here because obviously I want to take the Spurs. I think they'll be able to score points. But this line moving up and Dallas has been red hot, and I think Dallas is going to score in the interior, and Dallas owns the Spurs, especially in San Antonio. There's just a lot of things holding me back from pulling the trigger on Spurs +8. So I guess maybe I'll wait it out, and if this number touches 10, I'll buy in on some Spurs, maybe. But as of right now, I'd say Spurs are pass. I also like the over in this game. Like I said earlier, 8-1 to the over in the last 9 meetings between these two teams. You know what? Maybe I'll take the over. I haven't bet this one yet. I'll let you know on the live show next game. Next up, we got Denver on the road at Minnesota here. The T-Wolves are now catching 6.5 points, it looks like. There's still 6s open. This number was at 4 just a few hours ago. And shout out Jeffrey in the Discord. He told everyone to run and go grab Denver at -4. And I'm kicking myself because I didn't, but he was spot on because he's holding a couple points of value already. May even keep moving. Total for this game sitting at 212. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see a 4-point Minnesota win. Final score 112-108 T-Wolves. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Denver. Nobody on the report for the... Oh, Najee. Najee is listed as questionable for the Nuggets. Other than that, they should be at full strength here. On the Minnesota side, it looks like Gobert's been ruled out. I'm not sure. Minnesota's on a back-to-back. I'm not sure if I'm looking at an updated injury report or the injury report from yesterday, but the one I'm looking at right now as I'm recording this, Towns still out, Gobert out, Naz Reid listed as probable. So I don't know if that's updated or not. You know what? I'll check for you and I'll put the updated one on the screen. Before we get into this one, we obviously need to mention that Minnesota's on a back-to-back. They just played a game in Utah last night, immediately had to fly home to play the Nuggets for a huge game. On the season, Minnesota is 7-3 straight up on 0 days rest, but just 4-6 against the number. So it's not like they've been terrible on 0 days rest. And something else I want to mention, this isn't the greatest spot for the Nuggets either. They're on the final game of a 4-game, 7-day road trip. So the Nuggets are probably pretty exhausted themselves. So obviously the rest advantage does go to Denver, but I don't particularly love the spot for the Nuggets either. Betting trends on the Denver side, 9-4 against the spread in their last 13. 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 on the road. On the season, they're just 11-14-1 against the spread as road favorites, though. Betting trends on the Minnesota side don't look great. Just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10. Actually, I made this graphic before. I'll update it. So I guess it would now be 4-7 against the spread in their last 11. 3-9 against the spread in their last 12 at home. 2-0 against the spread as home dogs. This particular head-to-head matchup is definitely tilted towards the T-Wolves here. Denver 0-3 against the spread in their last 3 meetings against the T-Wolves. 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 trips to Minnesota. That's a positive look for Minnesota there. Denver's also been trending heavily towards unders. 0-3 to the under in their last 3. 3-11 to the under in their last 14 on the road. Minnesota, however, has been trending towards overs. 6-3 to the over. Oh, I made this one before. I guess it would be 7-3 to the over in their last 10. I'm not sure if Minnesota-Utah went over. I'll update it on the screen. So Minnesota's been trending towards overs. This particular head-to-head matchup has been trending towards over as well. 9-4 to the over in their last 13. 4-2 to the over in their last 6 in Minnesota. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with some net efficiency numbers. Denver sitting at 3rd in efficiency in the last 10 games. Minnesota at 8th. Denver's also played the stronger schedule in that span, 10th to 18th. So Denver's been slightly better than Minnesota on paper. They've also done it against a stronger schedule. Matchup for Denver offensively, I mean, this is pretty close here. Minnesota does have the rebounding advantage. But this is a T-Wolves defense that's relying on forcing turnovers. They're 5th in the last 10. Denver's offense doesn't turn the ball over. So I actually like that for Denver. Free throw rate, both these units are terrible. Denver doesn't get to the line, but Minnesota fouls a lot. So pretty evenly matched here in the last 10 games. One of Minnesota's strengths defensively has been stopping the fast break. On the season, 8th in frequency, 6th in efficiency. But that's really no concern here for the Nuggets. They don't run the fast break at all. 24th in frequency, 24th in efficiency. So I actually like this angle for the Nuggets because one of the T-Wolves' biggest defensive strengths kind of taken out of play here. Shot zones for Denver's offense. We can look at the rim here. They're 9th in frequency at the rim in the last 10 games. And weirdly, Minnesota's defense has just fallen off protecting the basket. It's been the strength of the team all year. In the last 10 games, 11th in frequency, 26th in defensive efficiency at the basket. So Minnesota not protecting the rim at the elite rate they were earlier in the season. And if we isolate it to just the last 5 games, 21st and 20th. So I don't know if we can trust this Minnesota Timberwolves interior defense right now. The Nuggets might be able to score on them down there. On the other side, we got Minnesota's offense, and edge definitely goes to Denver's defense here. 2nd to 23rd in the last 10 games in effective field goal percentage, and that's against a stronger schedule for Denver. That being said, some of the underlying numbers do point towards the Minnesota offense, turnovers and rebounding. So the Nuggets have done a good job contesting shots, and they probably will in this one, but Minnesota should have the maximum number of possessions. Shot zones for Minnesota's offense, kind of tough to zero in on anything here. They've been taking a lot of mid-range shots. 37% of the T-Wolves shot attempts in the last 10 games have come from the 2 mid-range zones. They haven't been very efficient, though, not really hitting them, and Denver's played pretty solid defense against those 2 zones, so really tough to find anything here as far as angles in the shot zones. And look at the 3-point shooting numbers here. Denver's been locking down the 3-point shot. In fact, the Nuggets might be the hottest 3-point defense in the NBA right now. I mean, certainly one of the best, and Minnesota just has no presence as far as outside shooting, so there's just really not much I like here for Minnesota's offense, which is why I can't do it. I can't bet Minnesota, but really not in a hurry to lay 6.5 points with the Nuggets on the road either. So I guess I'll say Denver or pass. I mean, maybe I'll get involved with an under, a Minnesota team total under, maybe. I don't know. Don't really like it. I mean, it's a good game, but betting value wise, I don't really like this one. Live show tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time. We actually have 2 live shows tomorrow. So at 4 p.m. Eastern time, we'll do the NBA show. We'll go through all the games, bring on guests, final decisions like we always do. But at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we're going live again. We're going to fill out our March Madness brackets right on the show. So there's 4 of us, and we're all going to, it's me, Andy, Scoop, Toast. We're going to fill out our brackets live on the stream. So if you haven't filled out your bracket yet, want to break it out and follow along with us and fill yours out, it should be fun. You should talk some shit and have some fun there if you want to join us. That's 6 p.m. Eastern time. If you want my top bets or you'd like to join the Discord, and I promise I'm going to get things turned around. 4 of the last 5 days, losing days. Don't love that. But I already posted 2 bets for this slate overnight on KyleKirms.com if you want to check that out. Let's have ourselves a nice Tuesday here. Not the greatest NBA night. Really, there's no college. Is there? There might be playing games for college. I don't really know. But not the best basketball night, but found a couple spots. Let's be smart, bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.